back, or I'm happy you just joined us. And I got to tell you all, this is the fourth roundtable, and of all the roundtables, boy, am I excited to listen to this one. And that's because, and you won't hear me say this often about anything, I don't know the first thing about what you're all about and anything that you do and are expert in. And no pun intended to use these. This stuff is all Greek to me. Okay, and so I'm really looking forward to listening to the discussion. And the only thing I know about faith and spirituality is your constitutional right to exercise whatever faith and spirituality you choose and in Canada, under Section 2A of the Constitution. And even before that, under the unwritten constitutional principles, these rights were enunciated in the 50s by the Supreme Court of Canada in a trilogy of Jehovah Witnesses cases. And the court said that free speech, religion, and conscience were at the basis of our constitutional order. So these are long, fought for rights in general terms. But so that's all I know about this area. So I'm going to turn it over to Lori Ladd, our moderator, and I'm just going to listen. I'm not even going to pipe in unless somebody needs a legal opinion, okay? Go ahead, Lori.
Thank you, Rocco. It's such an honor to be here with all of you guys today. So there's basically three questions that I want us to dive deep into today. And we'll navigate this in the 45 minutes that we have. But I want to talk about how we've all been viewing this current shift in the human collective, in the human consciousness, and what we've been noticing, both our own internal experiences and the external. What are the breakthroughs and struggles that we've been noticing as the human collective has been making this shift? And then what can we do now as individuals and as a part of this collective to really assist the shift that we're going through? And I'll start by saying that one of the most miraculous experiences that I've been watching, especially this past year, is how we have been stepping into freedom and sovereignty. And sovereignty is really about, what is my truth? What is my voice? What do I stand for? Who am I? What do I want? And really kind of breaking free from these external powers that have sort of controlled me or told me what is my truth, et cetera, et cetera. So it's an exciting time for me. And I would love to ask all of you, how are you viewing this current experience? How are you viewing this massive collective shift that we're all going through? Jason, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Okay, thanks. I've been looking at myself when I get reprimanded on social media by the Facebook giants or the social media giants, and I'm finding myself under behavior modification as well. I feel the pressure to change my behavior, and I'm having to dive really deep. And knowing the behavior modification psychology that I study a lot as a self-sabotage coach, I'm finding I have to dig myself out of it personally, and it can get really taxing. And I know what's going on. I know the behavior modification and the psychological manipulation that we're under. And it's not only getting me to become a stronger person and use my voice in a stronger way. I know I really have to do that. There's people out there that are not aware. I imagine how nervous they are and how much pressure they're under if they don't know that this is all a big, very large and very elaborate psychological operation. I feel heavy, and it empowers me more. I feel like it's sort of a now or never, it's us or them. And I'm finding the energy flowing into me, and I'm channeling, I'm using it to push into the collective in a more gentle way than I'm used to as well, because I know people are scared out there, and I'm trying to diffuse the fear a little bit. So I do find my evolution and my acceleration and my progress is being accelerated. And I can imagine everybody here on the panel is feeling the same way, that there's a pressure as a truth teller to sharpen the message and really know that there isn't a lot of runway here. we have to make sure we push as a group, and we're trying to wake up as many people as possible. I mean, the science is 20% of a group can sway the entire group. And so that's what I'm sort of feeling personally. I hope I answered your question properly, Lori.
Yeah, I love it. I think the gentleness that you're starting to step into is so important right now, in trying to shift an entire human collective, learning how to do that with more gentleness. Zissis, how about yourself? I'd love to hear. Unmute.
Oh, yes. I'm super excited. Personally, I've been super excited from the very beginning. I think this is the greatest love story ever being told, and that's being unfolded right now before our eyes. It's an incredible time to be alive as a human being and to watch this all manifest. The construct is what the construct is. What you believe to be will be. So what you adapt will then magnify in that way. So I choose to be a beacon of love. And regardless of what my external environment is, I have this detached curiosity and excitement of what's going to happen next. This is exciting because I already know we're all leading back into unity. The fabrics are collapsing as we speak. And there are telltale signs. All the major institutional paradigms are collapsing before our eyes. And as we begin to see more and more of this collapse, we will see more and more of this pressure being released. It's the unexpressed stories that need to be heard right now. So we need to all hear them because they've been unexpressed for thousands and thousands of years. And as we validate those, then we as a humanity will decide, what do we want it to be? So for me, I'm really looking forward more, and I can feel with palpitation where we're going right now.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. I'm excited. Loesje.
Hi, thanks for having me here. I'm excited too. I incarnated to be here now, and I think it's a prophesized time. We've been waiting for all of us to sit together collaboratively, and look what we're doing today. So powerful. And you know, this fear, false evidence appearing real. How do we share that it's not real? And we are the co-creators of our reality. And I remember listening to the first few speakers, and there was talk about fear of speaking out because maybe someone would lose their job, or maybe someone would lose this or be reprimanded and so forth. And I understand that from a perspective of being verbal and loud, but because I work with the nature kingdom and the animal kingdom and the insect kingdom and my inner kingdom, I realize that our strongest voice is the nonverbal voice. And so everything that I teach and train with is about going within and connecting with all of our 6 subtle senses, and possibly more than that, and communicating our truth from that level. And for those of us who have a fear maybe of speaking out loud or being on some social media or something else, we can actually send a message, possibly even stronger, from the nonverbal realms in our dream time, in the real time. And so my journey around the world in the jungles and everywhere else and with the animal kingdom, that's been the big reminder. The nature kingdom has been co-facilitating this remembering of our nonverbal skills to activate change. And we're here this time now. You know, some of our non-encoded DNA is finally being reactivated to remember who we always were. So I'm excited, obviously, and I'm so excited to be here with all of you. And thank you.
Amazing. You know, one of the things that I've been noticing in this past year, specifically in terms of stepping into or stepping out of this belief that we've been free when really it's sort of been somewhat of an illusion, is millions of humans are beginning to learn what their truth is, what their voice is, what do they stand for, not what has an authority figure sort of told me to believe or an authority figure told me to do. There's this really empowered state that I think a lot of humans are stepping into, which is part of I believe, the evolution of this human consciousness, which is that we become free and sovereign. And so how have you guys, I would love to talk a little bit about speaking up, speaking our truth, breaking free, and what that feels like, what that looks like. How can we continue to do that? And because I think that we here are used to that. We've been doing that probably for a very long time. Now we're doing it more. But what about those that are just stepping into it, especially with social media, especially with censorship, especially with bullying, all of the things that we're really feeling right now as we start to speak up, because speaking our truth is what's really important, I think, right now. So, Jason, I'd love to start with you. How are you seeing this in terms of speaking up, speaking your truth, standing firm in your knowingnesses, and really starting to step into that more and more?
Well, I think what we're seeing today is there's a natural rite of passage that all humans have to take from children to adults. And I know that's being stagnated by the structures of control that are sort of dominating us right now. So what we're seeing is this massive acceleration where we do see people making this rite of passage. You're supposed to traditionally and through ancient cultures make it at about 14 years of age. But now, because of the pressure, you see it like this massive pressure turning the coal into a diamond. People are deciding to take these rites of passage because of the corruption and the tyranny, and they're literally stepping into their adult selves. So for anybody that's doing that, it can be a very nerve-wracking transformation, letting go of the old and stepping into the new, letting go of the parent figure and becoming the independent person you were meant to be. But if anybody needs some advice, yes, they're on social media, and just like a child that's becoming an adult, they can trip over themselves, their voice can crack, it can be embarrassing. But if you want to break in to social media and you want to gain the attention and respect of people, like Robert Kiyosaki says, a question opens the mind and a statement closes the mind. So it's very important on social media to lead with questions like, is the PCR test an accurate representation for the positive cases? Question mark, leave your video, leave your article. Or why do these doctors say not to take the COVID vaccine? Question mark, leave your video, leave your article. This is a very important it's different, it's more effective, and it's a lot more effective than arguing with people and trying to state facts. Ask a question. So congratulations on everybody that's making this transition from child to adult. It's better late than never. We are, there's a limited runway, and it is exciting to see everybody waking up. People in the truth community have been waiting for this time. We certainly don't like that the crisis had to come around and the pressure has to be so intense, but it's better late than never. And we eagerly await this new world where, yes, we're going to manifest our own reality, and adults will be adults and children will be children. And any adult that dares act like a child in their adulthood will be severely dealt with, because they pose the greatest danger to the society, according to my observations. People that are of adult age that do not act, talk, walk, and think like an adult, this is how we've gotten here. So we have to go back to the ancient traditions as well and make these very valuable rites of passage. And we have to reintegrate them into our rituals and our ceremonies with our children so that we get strong adults in the leadership positions. Because if you look in the leadership positions today, obviously we have children, they're masquerading as adults. They're children in those positions. So we have to rework the entire society. And this is, as the existing institutions collapse, I think this is a good opportunity for us.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been calling the adult or the authority figure sort of like these wolves in sheep's clothing right now, right? Like they kind of look a certain way, and we're starting to be like, wait, we're starting to look through it. It's like, no, that is just a mirage. That's not really what we're seeing there. So thank you, Jason. Zissis?
I agree with Jason in that this is a rite of passage collectively as a human race. We're all going through this together. So the process of awakening for me has always been, and there are other points there within the gentleness, which I'll touch upon too. For me, it's always about feel, play, create, and share, right? What inspires you? Start with yourself. What inspires you? Feel that. As a heart worker, you know, we've been entrenched in our mental processes way too long. And as a polarity organ, you're always going to have the negative and the positive. So you're always having these feedback loops. You're never ending in that. However, if you drop into the heart as a point of singularity, it's a point of unity. So feel, allow. And as you feel and allow, you start to play, start to enjoy. The flow starts to come within you at that point in time. You're allowing the flow of the divine, of the universe, to manifest through you. And as you play, you create. And when you create, you share. And look what happens when you share. You inspire others, right? I think it's a recipe to change the world.
Right, because one of the things that I always think about when I'm teaching or just when I'm being is sometimes the beingness is more important than the speaking. The energetic sort of response that comes from the beingness can be more potent than the actual physical words.
I will add in the, there's a great institution, Heart Math Institute in Northern California. They've done amazing research on the global coherence. And the coherence is the mind-heart collective stability, let's say, or harmony of both. And as we have major shifts, disruptions, you can see that coherence drop. So collectively, we're all little energy packets. What our thoughts are being produced is magnifying and attaching into the whole collective of Mother Earth. So you want to change the world, start with yourself, as they say. Be that beacon of light, regardless of what you see, the illusion in front of you, and watch that magnify. And I think Jason said it earlier, you need 20% collective, and then everything shifts.
Absolutely. Lucia?
Consensus reality, co-creating new realities. And that's the gift we've been given. And so for me, it's always been about, you know, teaching the fishermen to fish. And we're very fortunate because everyone's talking now about integrative medicine and complementary medicine. And everyone's finally dropping this word of alternative. It's not instead of. And so integrating with our medical systems and bringing in a lot of the ancient teachings and the nonverbal teachings, as well as what we call consciousness-based energy medicine, we're here now. And we're sitting together today and we're collectively sharing our thoughts. So then in the world, there's a lot of so-called modalities coming out that are supporting individual people being able to learn how to keep their inner selves in a state of equilibrium. And once they get into that state of equilibrium and they start to let go of the intellectual mind that thought it was in the master and in control, they start to be able to engage into this journey to the heart brain, or the wisdom of the heart. And it's not always an easy journey. And I think we're in a time where years ago, it was a long, arduous journey. Something's happened. And this journey is a quickening. And when people go through that process of leaving the intellect and dropping into the heart brain and integrating the enteric brain and the intuition, bringing the wisdom to the soul and all of those jargons we use, that's great. But then where are the mentors? And so I think some of us sitting here today are saying, you know, some of you that are out in the world that are mentors for people that are awakening, whether they tried or not, they're in the quickening, be there for them and teach those ones how to fish and take care of themselves simultaneously to being the leaders and the warriors and whatever words we like to use. But we're now doing it from the heart. And, you know, for me as a nature, the animal kingdom, or we're actually, you know, we're not call them animals anymore. They're sentient beings. They never forgot their connection to oneness and that living from the heart and being in the moment, being in the now. So being able to co-facilitate in nature settings with the sentient beings they call animals, whether it's elephants, tigers, horses, doesn't matter. There's a remembering of those ancient teachings that some of you have been talking about that's in our DNA. And as we're going through this process of change, some of this non-encoded DNA, the junk DNA is being activated. And for a lot of you listening to us, it's happening to you whether you're trying or not. Mm-hmm. It's called the 100th monkey. And so my thing is be there for each other, be collaborative, and honor integrative medicine on all levels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Beautiful. as you were speaking, as all of you guys were speaking, that what the next sort of thing that came to me was, you know, this massive shift that we're experiencing on a collective level. It's an energetic shift. And the beautiful piece, at least for myself, that I'm noticing is it's calling me, at least, and people that in my immediate surroundings, back here, right? Like it all has to start here. And from this place is where we make the change, right? And so I don't know about you guys, but this past year has been like the most amazing year, but also the most like transformative for myself. I have gone through so much transformation in order to show up in an even more potent and powerful, sovereign, truth speaker sort of way. So I would love to talk a little bit about what does that mean to sort of start to break free from the external and come back here? Why is that important? Why are we all being directed back to ourselves? Because we all are, in order to start to do what we came here to do. So what is this breaking apart, coming back here, and why? Why is this happening? Jason?
That's a pretty complex question, but the human spirit needs to be free. And that's probably the most simple answer. We're looking to decentralize the power. This is the dream of everybody that's enslaved right now, is we have to get away from the decentralized power, and the power is being lorded over us. So what we do is, yes, we do come back to our individual routines. I've come back hard to my individual routine. I literally have to get up out of bed every single morning and say, build your power, because I know this system is like an energy grid. It literally siphons off the energy of its victims. And my determination is, when I get up every morning, is to build more power for myself, to build my dreams, to help people, to mentor them, and to be a role model. So yes, we're coming back to ourselves, because if we integrate into these corrupt and ugly and futile systems, it's like us plugging into you know, for lack of a better phrase, the matrix, and it just literally sucks us dry of all our dreams. It terrorizes rational thought. If you plug into the collective today, terrorizes logic and ethics and morality. So we are removing ourselves from everything around us to find our power again, only to know that we're going to have to build our own personal power and then re-engage at a later time with the collective to build this brand new world. So this is what I'm doing. I know what you're saying. I'm retreating inward, but I'm not retreating in the sense that I feel like I'm weaker. I'm getting more adherent to my positive routines, positive thought, nutrition, clean water, good sleep, exercise, and then using that white wizard power to try and role model for anybody that wants to kind of say, how can I get into a better situation in the world that we have right now? I kind of hope that people can see that's possible. And I as well have changed. I've started 6 businesses in the past 7 months, just trying to modify to make sure that I can sidestep the tyranny and keep building my own personal power. And if anybody wants to know what this is really about, this is about everybody escaping from their system, unplugging, and then them coming at us with authority in trying to make us re-plug into their systems that use us as batteries to power their corruption throughout the world. So it's very important to look at the long-term goal of decentralizing power, but also building that personal power in your life so that you can wield it like a white wizard into areas that are going to benefit you, your family, and your immediate community and your extended family. I don't know if that answered the question, but that's the sort of transition I'm seeing, going inward, building more power.
That was beautiful, beautiful. I loved it, because really quickly, the only way to stop this enslavement is to recognize that we've been enslaved. And we can do this. We can have another question after this, but most humans, a lot of humans, millions of humans don't even realize they're enslaved, right? So there's that piece as well. Zissis.
Yeah, similar. Just a slight hint on it. I think everything is an expression of love. Love is always navigating itself back to love, right? So for me, this past year has been more consolidation into that space, into the magnificence, into the tiny space of it.